Hi friends, it's JFO here with some high vibes for ya. So today is a very important day in America, but mostly the world, right? And everyone is going to be feeling something different. Now, I'm obviously going to be posting this before the day is over. So this is really to gear you up for whatever the results are and to support you with high vibes. Now, one thing I want to talk about first, a little disclaimer, is that we are living in a world right now that is extremely divided. We have what we call extreme polarity, and we have that extreme polarity on various topics: mask, no mask, Democrat, Republican, the list goes on. Now, in order to serve you with high vibes, my job as a spiritual teacher is to take that polarity and be the glue. So this is not going to be a detailed video. This is going to be a video that's going to serve everyone inside the polarity, because my job as a spiritual teacher and what God has been telling me and guiding me to do, because I've sort of been avoiding doing my riffs. I want to do a lot more riffs on Instagram and Facebook, and then I'm going to put these onto my YouTube show, High Vibes with JFO. I used to do this in the Periscope days. So I really want to get back into my daily riffs, but I've been really, like, how do I do this? How do I support everyone? And as you know, I'm human too. So as a human, it's very, very normal to have opinions and to pick a side of the polarity. That is normal. I'm not telling you to not have an opinion, and I'm not telling you to not be loud with your opinion. But I am telling you to understand that, well, first off, I have an opinion, but I'm not going to share my opinion here because I really want to bring spiritual healing. That's my job. That's my mission in this life. And I'm going to use astrology as well to support us in that. So to summarize with this little disclaimer before I get into the therapy, is that you are in this amazing time in history. Okay. I know it doesn't feel amazing, but it's pretty epic. Okay. And you're going to have an opinion, and your loved ones might not share that opinion. You're going to have a perception or a perspective, and your loved ones might not share that perception and perspective. And as a spiritual teacher, I'm here to bring us some generalized perspective to support all perceptions that are happening right now. Okay. So I made some notes. So we've got a polarity. That's clear. Now, the first thing I want to share before I dive into some of the notes that I have here for my election therapy video is that we are right now, astrologically, we are right now in the destiny line of Sagittarius versus Gemini. Okay. So let me explain what that means. The sun, the path of the sun, the path of the moon, they never meet, but they meet at one point in the north and one point in the south. And that creates a tug of war experience where your destiny wants one thing, your comfort zone wants another. Okay. So comfort zone is where we hide. It's comfortable. And destiny is what we really want, but we don't necessarily know how to do it. Okay. Now, you have a destiny line in your chart. That's the work I do. When I read your birth chart, I take the entire chart. I take your sun sign, your moon sign, all the things in your chart, and I divide them into two equal halves, your destiny side and your comfort zone side. And I read your chart from that perspective. So it's this hero's journey that you're all going through. It's kind of like when you watch a movie, a character has kind of like something they really want, but something that's holding them back, right? You get it, okay? But we have this collectively. And the destiny line sign stays in a sign for about a year or two, give or take. I would say 2 years, 1.5, 2 years. So it's really interesting when you use the destiny line to understand life, because it's going to make things so much more clear for you. So this destiny line that we're in right now went into the Sagittarius Gemini line in May. So we're learning Gemini collectively, and our comfort zone collectively is Sagittarius. What does that mean? It's the perception, it's the masculine perception signs of the zodiac. Okay. So it's very outward, masculine. We're not going in, we're going outward. Okay. Outward energy, think of it as outgoing versus, a shy person, right? we're outward. We're outward. Everyone's outward. Everyone's screaming and yelling about their perspective. Our comfort zone right now is in fire energy. So we want to fucking yell at each other. And I'm sorry I'm cursing, but I'm a Sagittarius. So that's the Sagittarius energy. You kind of get a little touch of it, a little flair. So our comfort zone right now collectively, and remember, you have Sagittarius in your chart somewhere. And that comfort zone of Sagittarius is bringing up within you your Sagittarius. So not only is there a personal area that you're kind of dealing with right now, like for me, it's in the house of self for me. So I'm really learning, and I'm also a Sagittarius, and my rising sign Sagittarius. So it's really bringing out this topic of how can I speak my truth, and me, right? Like that's my personal experience of it. You're going to have your personal experience of it, but collectively we're all being triggered to speak our truth. Okay. Now, truth is relative based in the context that you're in, right? This is why we have lawyers, because everyone's going to have their side of the story when we're speaking about the word truth. Okay. So just understand that when I explain this. So this perception line that we're in collectively is all about truth, fiery, loud truth that's messy and impulsive and has no filter and can sometimes be just harsh, versus Gemini, which is what we're learning. And Gemini is a little bit more diplomatic. It's going to filter it. It's going to think about something before it speaks. So we are learning that, right? We're collectively learning that. But Gemini also is the sign of the schmoozing, the spin, journalism, the local neighborhood. Sagittarius represents international travel. Gemini represents local travel. So there's this other thing happening right now too, where we have this comfort zone of global issues versus local neighborhood issues, right? That's another way you can look at the theme. Another theme that Sagittarius and Gemini are all about is education, because it's all about masculine perception, right? So Sagittarius is more like the teacher sign. Gemini is more like your ABCs 1, 2, 3. It's like survival needs, whereas Sagittarius is more like the philosopher, the storyteller. And so it's more like, literature, and let's philosophize about something, right? So right now we're going into this like technology education, right? That's very Gemini, because Gemini rules technology. Sagittarius is more, let's go to the village and be with the villagers. Gemini is like, no, let's write an article about it. Let's read a book about it, right? So there's this Gemini versus Sagittarius collective destiny line, right? And another thing that Gemini represents also is news, journalism. So there's a lot going on right now with mainstream media news, what's truth, what's not truth, propaganda. There's a lot of people telling their stories through the experience that we're having in 2020, and then people shutting them down. Well, where's the facts, right? So there's a lot of facts versus storytelling. This is the destiny line, okay? So we will be in this destiny line all through next year. It won't leave until January of 2022. And that's when we'll go into the theme of money versus intimacy. We'll get to that later, okay? So just know this is the time of truth, okay? Lots of truth is going to come out in the next year, okay? But again, what is truth? Like we could do a whole video on that. What is truth, right? So truth is about perception. Truth is about, truth for you, right? Your perception, your map of the world. Now, like I said, that destiny line is the mutable signs of the zodiac. We have also Neptune in Pisces, which is a feminine mutable. It's water mutable, and that's squaring it. So there's a lot of emotion and a lot of denial, but also because Pisces represents denying the truth, like wanting to wear the rose-colored glasses, but it also represents imagination and expanding your mind spiritually, right? So there's a lot going on with that. And there's basically, to summarize that part of this teachings, is that we really have this emotional, harsh energy around perception right now. So it's like, I have my perception, you have your perception, and we want to fight each other because we want so badly to be on the same page. That's not going to happen right now, guys. Okay. And I'm going to explain a little bit more why, but just, you need to understand that that's most likely what's really driving you nuts right now in the year 2020. Okay. So that was the destiny line. So now we're going to go into this really cool thing that I want to talk about. So Abraham Hicks always talks about going general. Whenever you want to manifest, Abraham teaches the law of attraction. Whenever you want to manifest something in your life, if you are going into the details of it, it's going to be a lot harder to manifest it, because the minute you go into more and more details of it, you're going to start to, your mind's going to be like, oh, it can't happen. It's, whatever. So Abraham always says, go general, just go general. Like, instead of saying like, I will get a paycheck of $1 million this year, like, that's so detailed, right? Like, but if you're like, abundance is flowing to me, money is coming, like, that's more general, right? So we're going to use this concept of going general with my JFO teachings as I speak to you about everything, because we're going to go general with it so that we can serve everyone in this election therapy session here. Okay. So we're going to start with something really important, and it's your why. Okay. I want you to think about who you voted for, and I want you to think about why. Okay. Now, why that's important is because the election and the results of the election are going to play out in the way they're going to play out. I know how Mercury retrograde works. Mercury's going direct. We were in a retrograde, is going direct on election day. And we won't go back to the original degree of 11 degrees Scorpio that we went backwards in until November 20th. So from election day to November 20th is the shadow phase. Anything could happen, right? So just understand that, because at this point, we might not have necessarily a specific result right away, given that this is happening in a retrograde. I just want to prepare you on that part of this. Now, everyone's got a different place that they're in with this election. Some people are not even paying attention. Some people are like, I don't even care about politics. I'm not listening. I'm not paying attention. Others, their life depends on this, right? So there's an extreme, there's extremes and a spectrum of attachment to what's happening, right? So the whole point of this therapy session with me today is that I want to support you in getting you high vibe. So I want you to tune out everything around you, okay? And I want you to get clear on what your why is. What is your why for this election? What is your why for who you voted for? Especially if like this is really like eating away at you and you're in a lot of anxiety about it, okay? Because for some of us, the person we voted for is going to win. And for some of us, the person we voted for is not going to win. And it's very important to understand that that's going to create massive chaos in the next coming weeks, months, whatever. Okay. So my intention behind this video is to really support you in the high vibes, because if you can manage your emotions and your thoughts and your vibrations around what's happening, that is your power. Okay. So, or at least behind me, by the way. The first thing I want to say is that you are a sovereign being. Yes, this election is so critical for so many reasons, but you are a sovereign being. You get to choose what your reality is, okay? So the first step here is do not put your power in the outside world. You need to recognize that your power is within. And your why for this election, your why for the person that you voted for, your why can be something that you... Do you hear her? Riley. Babe, I'm trying to do a video. She wants to talk about her position. Your why behind this, you don't need a politician, or, whatever, the outside world to determine what your reality can be. And so I want you to get clear on your why, because if you can get clear on your why, and then you can say, okay, I'm a sovereign being and I can only control myself. I can only control my thoughts and my emotions, and I can only control my vibration and the energies that I'm bringing out to my loved ones, right? Do I want to bring out fear, anger, anxiety? Yes, we want to feel our emotions. We want to work through our emotions on our own. Meditate, cry it out, whatever, right? But what kind of vibration do we want to bring in a room? Okay. So if you can get clear on your why and understand that you are a sovereign being and that you do not need anyone outside of you to create your reality, that you have the power to create your reality. That is the biggest thing I want you to take away from this video. Okay. The next thing we're going to go into, and we're going to leave on this note, is an analogy. And it's called the flashlight analogy. It's amazing. Okay. So some of you might not know, but there is a spiritual movement happening in the internet right now, inside the internet. Just in the collective world, there's this beautiful spiritual awakening movement happening, okay? And I'm going to explain it through these words: 3D versus 5D. And a lot of spiritual teachers are talking about this. I've talked about it before in videos. I want to share it with you. And again, I'm going general. So this has nothing to do with who you voted for. This is a contracted moment in our history, in our world right now, where we are raising our consciousness from 3D to 5D. Okay. So what does that mean? Well, 3D, the best way you want to think about it is like when you really think about 3D to 5D, you really want to think about when you go to a movie and they give you those 3D glasses, the 2D movie pops out into 3D, right? It comes to life, okay? Now, this year went backwards. We went into 2D a little bit, wink, wink, because everything's digital. We had to go on Zoom to talk to people. We had to go on, FaceTime to talk to people. And we took our 3D world and it became very 2D. And that's why there's a lot of sadness and a lot of depression. And it's been a hard year because we kind of regress in a way, if you really want to think about it. So if you can use that concept of the 2D to 3D and the 3D glasses watching a 3D movie, you can understand how magical 5D could be. The expansion of our perception, the expansion of our consciousness. Now, a huge part of why there's such a divide and polarity in our world right now is because a lot of people are living in 3D and a lot of people are living in 5D. People are awakening to 5D. We're not going anywhere else. It's all happening in the same place. We're all going to be on Earth experiencing two different perceptions and two different realities, okay? So you have to understand that. That is so key because that is a big reason why there's a divide. Now, don't worry about where you are. If you know exactly what I'm talking about and you've heard this concept before, you're most likely in 5D. But let me just make it very clear. You're not a human just in 5D and you're always in 5D. That's not how it works, okay? We oscillate, okay? But your perception and your consciousness is going to expand. And this expansion is going to happen over the next 4 years, okay? We are slowly moving into the Aquarius energy or the Aquarius age, however you want to call it. And that's a huge part of this. 2 planets are going to go into Aquarius, big planets, Saturn and Jupiter at the end of the year. And Pluto will follow suit after those 4 years, okay? I think it actually goes in the beginning of 2024. But that's a huge part of this, okay? But right now we're collapsing the 3D systems and we're kind of revamping what we're doing on Earth. And it's all gonna unfold in the next coming 4 years. That is why, from a spiritual perspective, this election is so critical, okay? Because this is not really, at the end of the day, about policies. We think it is, okay? From a 3D perspective, it is. But from a 5D perspective, it is about so much more. And I'm going to give you an analogy to leave you with to help you understand it. But before I do, I might need to get my dog. Riley, you're interrupting the footage, honey. Do you want to talk to them about 5D, 4D, 3D? Okay, so here we go. Are you ready? I can't take credit for this. I got this analogy from an amazing, amazing woman. Her name is Anita Morjani. If you've never read her book, Dying to Be Me? Dying to Be Me. It's a book about a near-death experience. So this woman had stage 4 cancer. She was brought into the hospital. She was basically going to die. She died. She had like tumors the size of, I don't even know, baseballs. And she had them all over her body. And she basically died. She died. But while she died, she had a near-death experience. And she was in various places at one time. She saw her brother in another country getting on a plane to come see her. At the very same time she saw that, she saw the doctors in like 4 hallways down talking about her. At the same time that was happening, she was with her father on the other side. And basically her father said to her, it's not your time to go. And she knew deep within her that if she came back into her body, her cancer would be gone. Okay, it was almost like the near-death experience was so profound and her perception had opened up so much that she knew when she came back in her body that she had raised her consciousness. I mean, 3D to 5D, right? If you want to think of it in that way, she had expanded her reality. Okay, so when she came back into her body, the doctors, of course, were like, "What is going on?" She had no more cancer, guys. No more cancer. And of course, the doctors, because they're in 3D, they were like, we got to find the cancer. We got to find the cancer. The books say you still have cancer, right? We went to school for medicine. The books say you still have cancer. And she's like, it's gone, right? So it was gone. Her cancer was gone. And now she speaks and she has like a whole brand now. I mean, she's like this amazing spiritual teacher. But so I highly recommend her book, especially if you have a lot of fears right now about the medical world and your body and all of what's going on right there. Okay. But because guys, it's all about your mind too. It's not just your body. Remember, it's mind, body, soul connection. Okay. So definitely get her book. But I saw her speak once and the analogy she gave was the most profound analogy. And it's the best analogy to understand why there is so much division in our world right now. Okay. Because we're all living in different perceptions of this analogy. So her analogy was that when you're living your life, okay, as a human, you are a human. You are a soul with a human body. You're not a human body with a soul, right? Think of yourself as you are a conscious soul and you have a body. You just happen to have a body so you can live in this 3D world, this density. You're in the density, right? You want to think of it as solid, liquid, gas. Think of it as like science class. You are in the density, okay? And that density experience is why you came. You came here to be this creator of have this own identity and be your own sovereign being and decide what you want and go create it, right? That's why we came into this physical earth experience, okay? So, where was I going? I don't remember. I remember. Okay, so her analogy was that when you are this human, the analogy is that you are in an enormous warehouse, okay? And in this warehouse, there are millions and millions and millions of shelves with millions and trillions and billions of things on the shelves, okay? I want you to picture that, okay? As a human, you are in that warehouse with a tiny little flashlight. And you take that flashlight and you put it onto an object. And you think you can see everything. And someone could say, you can't see what I can see. There's this enormous warehouse. And you're like, no, I know, it's right here. I'm seeing this one little object. I see the warehouse. No, there's a whole warehouse. And you're like, no, I just see this thing. This is what I see. And you will fight to the death for that little tiny spotlight that you see. Okay? If someone wants you so badly to see what they see, you're like, no, I got this flashlight and I can see right here that this is it. So she said that when she had her near-death experience, it was like someone put the lights on in that warehouse and everything came clear and she could see millions of shelves and millions of items. And it was just like, wow, that little tiny flashlight. I thought that was the only thing. I thought that was the only thing in my reality, but no, there's all of these other things. And that's why the cancer went away, because her perception shifted. So I want you to understand, in the next 4 years, no matter who wins, we are collectively moving from 3D to 5D. Shit's gonna get weird, guys. Shit is gonna get weird, okay? Some of you might already be having your awakening. Some of you might not yet. Some of you might not know what the hell I'm talking about. It's okay. I am here. You can reach out to me if you want support, but that is what we're doing. We are in ascension. We are in the process of ascension, okay? And that's why this election is so intense. And I promise you, God is in control, okay? So that's what I have for you today. Election Therapy with JFO. What's your why? You are a sovereign being. Manage your mind, manage your vibration, manage your emotions. We've got this. I love you guys.